Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. You're looking at the completed Damascus pattern welded steel Kephart style Bushcraft outdoors blade. And we need to make a sheath for this. The original Kephart knife, or at least the last surviving one, as far as I'm aware, had a distinctive and specific leather sheath design. We are going to make one similar, so let's get into it. First thing is to make a pattern, and the design is pretty simple but serviceable. I'm going to be making a pouch style sheath. The original Kephart sheath had a slightly lower opening, I guess. It came up about midway on the handle, if I remember correctly, and then a snap strap at the top of the handle. And in my opinion, that's not necessary and not needed, particularly if you make the sheath high enough up on the knife blade, or excuse me, the handle, so that it's gripping all the way up here, and then of course you still have enough handle sticking out to get the knife out of the sheath. In my opinion, that's the best of both worlds. So when you're making a knife sheath pattern, you want to make sure that you have enough clearance around the outside. Just going to cut this out here, and I actually should have drawn this pattern further down on the piece of paper here so that we could incorporate this strap on this and make that longer, but I didn't. Oops. That's okay, we can add pieces to that. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and fold this in half, because as you can see, it is not concentric, it's not even, and the easiest and quickest way to do that is to simply fold the pattern, in this case, down the center line, and then re-trim. So this is going to be the back of the sheath, and we'll use this for the front of the sheath as well, minus the strap. And so I need a strap for the back that's going to be longer. And there you have it, problem solved. And again, folding it down the center to true up the sides. So that gives us a strap that will reach down far enough to give us an area to stitch and enough for the belt loop. But also another consideration is bringing that strap or that loop close to or just above the butt of the knife. And what that does is keeps the butt of the knife from digging into your side as you're wearing it. So the hanging point is right here. So we're going to go ahead and fold that and give ourselves an indicator of where we want to fold the leather once we complete this. You'll notice I have the pattern flipped over so that the flesh side is on the inside and the hair side is on the outside, except for obviously the strap where it folds back. Now we need the front of the sheath, and so I want that to drop a little bit further down in front. And so I'm going to fold it right there on those lines that we have, and then flipping it back over so that the hair side again is on the outside. We will place our pattern here and do the same thing. Alright, so we have our pieces for the sheath cut out, and this is one reason why I like a pouch style sheath in its various forms, because it's simple, very sturdy, serviceable. This pattern I will go ahead and put in my pattern collection. Sometimes if it's an unusual, sort of a one-off type build or pattern, I'll just discard it, but this one is going to be valuable for a number of different blades going forward. So I will keep this. Put that aside. The next thing to do is finish the edges that will be exposed, or I should say that are not going to be adjacent to any stitching. Those will be finished after the stitching, as you would expect. And so all of those edges that don't include the stitched edges, we will hit with the cornering tool. Next I need to apply leather dye to specifically the portions that are going to have the finished edge. I find that if you don't put the dye on first, after you put the leather conditioner on that allows you to slick up that edge, the dye doesn't really soak in like it normally does. And because I don't want uneven dye application up here, I'm dyeing the entire surface so that there's not a uneven, I don't know, application there, whatever I'm trying to say. So I wouldn't necessarily need to dye this entire front of the sheath, but that's the reason I'm doing it that way. And then same with this one. Oops. Yeah, that's going to leave a mark. Yeah, nothing a little coat of paint won't fix. Alright. So now, like I say, we need to make sure that we're folding this or creasing this in the right spot. So let me refer back to our pattern and just put that initial bend in the leather while it's still damp from the dye. Now that the dye has dried for the most part, I've applied some leather conditioner, Tokonol, to the edges and allowed that to dry slightly as well. Wipe off the excess a bit. And that will now allow us to use the edge slicker. I find that if there's too much of that leather conditioner on the edge, it just kind of smears around instead of actually burnishing it. You kind of want it sort of tacky. That's what allows you to get that nice finish. Alright, now that we have the edges burnished and ready to go, we can apply a little spot of glue precisely how we want the belt loop to go. Just enough to hold it in place while we stitch it. Go ahead and clamp that while it dries, and then we'll be ready to stitch it. Next, I'm going to apply some leather glue to the welt here, and we'll attach it to the front side of the sheath first. I've used my marking tool to establish where I'm going to stitch that, so when I take it to the machine it's predetermined. Now that we have the belt loop secured, we can go ahead and assemble the rest of the sheath. Alright, the stitching is complete on the sheath here. We just need to finish the edges up. I did a double stitch on this, mainly for aesthetics. The single stitch is certainly adequate, but I thought it would kind of go well with this build. And so with an application of leather oil, the sheath is finished, ready to go. As you can see, it's formed to where the knife isn't going to simply fall out, and it's sitting deep enough in there per design to accomplish that. And of course it's still easy to get out and use. So there you have it, guys. Appreciate you watching. We will see you on the next video.